In this demo, I'll be showing you how to use the default trait. The default trait is used to create new structures and enumerations with a default value. Suppose we had a package structure that represents some sort of shipping package, and they have a weight that is an F64. In a normal implementation, you would probably want additional fields, but for this demo, we'll just have a weight. What we can then do is just implement functionality on this package. So if we have a new function, we can specify the weight, which will then create a new package. There may also be situations where we have a default package size if the user does not supply a specific weight. In those situations, the default trait will allow you to create a new package without specifying the weight. To implement the default trait, we use the impl keyword and then default for the structure or enumeration you want to implement default for. The only function provided by the default trait is default. It doesn't take any arguments, and it's going to return whichever enum or structure is specified here. Remember, we can use self to return the enum or struct specified there. I'm then going to return a default package, and we'll set the default weight to 3.0. The reason you would want to implement default is because there are other crates along with code within the standard library that will attempt to use default when applicable. In general, it's a good idea to implement default for any structure or enumeration where it would make sense to have a default value, because it only makes your code easier to use, and there are no downsides to having defaults as long as it makes sense for your use case. In order to use defaults, all we need to do is call the default function. We would now have a new package with a weight of 3, since that is the default weight if we do not provide one. Keep in mind, if you have a new function that does not have any function arguments, then you'd want to use default instead of new. However, in our case, since we can specify the weight when we create a new box, it makes sense to have a new function and a default function, where the new function specifies the weight and the default just gives you a predetermined weight. This concludes the demo on the default trait. I'll see you in the next presentation.